And we're live. I think. Totally live. And we have a title. I figured it out. Hello, Central Track readers, followers. Hi. My name is Alex Spicer. I am the editor of centraltrack.com. I will be joined by, and I think he's already here, Dallas singer-songwriter Joshua Ray Walker. So let's see if we can tap in. Hopefully. Maybe. Maybe not. Fingers crossed.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining me.
For sure.
Hold on. Pete's asking me to pin a comment. I'm going to try and figure that out because I've never done that before. How's it going? Are you in Texas?
Yeah, I'm at my house in Dallas.
Right on. Because you're back and forth between Dallas and Tennessee a lot, right?
Yeah, before COVID, I was
Yeah.
taking trips to Nashville about every 6 weeks. And I've been doing that since September of 18, I guess. No, 17. So
Oh, wow.
almost 3 years.
Is that how long it's taken to make this album?
No, I was going there for like writing sessions and just networking and
Right
stuff.
on.
I started recording this record in June of last year, so
Oh, okay.
it took about a year.
A year.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I think I figured it out. Let's backtrack for a second. For those of you who aren't familiar with, although I'm pretty sure a lot of you are, with Josh, he is a Dallas-based tree singer-songwriter and multiple Central Track Music Honors winner. And you just put out a brand new album.
Right.
But before we get into that, I just want to kind of talk to you, and see, how things are going. How is quarantine been for you?
I mean, I'm struggling through all the obvious things that everyone else is. No money. It sucks not being able to go out. The moral dilemma, of socializing. I feel like, I should stay home, and it, it's just, I don't know. It's been a very frustrating year overall. Um, Luckily, this last week has been really great. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think I've cleared my calendar 4 times, like cleared and rescheduled my tour calendar 4 times this year. I had 2 tours in Europe lined up, one in mainland Europe and Scandinavia, and then another one in the UK. And both have been postponed till 2021. And I was planning on playing probably 100, 150 shows in the US this year. And it all went away. I was ramping up to promote this record. Like I had toured heavily in January, February of this year. And then I was out on the road with Charlie Crockett, and I came home for a week to rest and do laundry and stuff. And then the next weekend, I was supposed to go to South by Southwest, and I had a lot of really cool stuff lined up. I was going to be a guest artist at Paul Coffin's review that he puts together, and it was at Luck on Willie Nelson's ranch this year.
Wow.
And so I was going to get to do that. And I had so many really cool opportunities that were lined up. And so trying to figure out how to not get bummed out when all that got canceled and just stay on top of things. I probably drank too much for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I just tried to stay active and keep creating. And um, this is probably the most like regimented schedule I've had in my entire life.
I feel the same.
Because like a lot of the unknowns were taken away.
Hmm.
So, I feel like all my friends who have really scheduled lives, like who have the corporate jobs and stuff, this has been like a free for all for them. They're staying up till 5 and
Yeah.
sleeping until 1. And all my friends who work in service or in the arts or in music or whatever, we're like eating healthy and working out and getting up at 6:30 in the morning. And, so it's been funny to kind of see that happen. So I'm good. I've kept in pretty good spirits overall. Um, Shit's hard. And then all the other, added civil rights issues that have come to light, and just like navigating like how to be an ally without making my voice drown out anyone else's voice that is more entitled to their opinion right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I want to support the cause, but my voice isn't the voice that needs to be heard right now on the issues. So it's hard to figure out like
The
how to
balance.
do that sometimes. But that's been it. It's been a crazy couple of months.
Yeah. You were actually one of the last people I saw out and about, because I went to the Ottoman Turks, your band, played with Sub-Sahara, and I think it was for the Cliffs.
Oh yeah, that was the Thursday, February 27th.
Yeah, like 2 weeks before everything shut down, right? 2.5 weeks.
Right.
And it was a good show. So, job well
That
done.
was a very fun show.
Yeah.
Um,
Guys jumped up and joined Cliffs for like the last 2 songs, I think. That was so much fun to watch.
yeah, I'd been watching John Dufalo play since like junior high. He was in Death Ray Davies when I was growing up. And yeah, so that was really cool to be on stage with him, and to be asked, for Ottoman Turks to be asked to play with him. But yeah, that was our last weekend of shows. So I played with them. I played with Ottoman Turks that night, and then I went and played in Denton the next night at Dan's with Ottoman Turks, and then I drove to Austin that next day. Played a show with my band in Austin. Drove all the way up to Tulsa to meet Ottoman Turks to play Mercury Lounge for what was supposed to be Paul Cawthon's after party. Paul Cawthon was having a big show at Kane's Ballroom, and Ottoman Turks, we were going to play the after party at Mercury Lounge. And Paul got sick with the flu. Who knows what it is? Who knows what it really was?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and his whole band got it, and they had to come home and cancel the end of the tour. So, we ended up being they made it to where all the people who bought tickets to Paul's show could come to Mercury Lounge and just see the after party for free and whatever. So we ended up playing a really packed show at Mercury Lounge on a Sunday, and had an amazing night, and stayed in Tulsa that night, and came home anticipating a giant South by Southwest for me and Ottoman Turks. We were opening up for Sarah Shook, and we were supposed to play a show with Reverend Horton Heat and the legendary Shack Shakers like in April, and we had a lot of cool stuff lined up too. And we were super jazzed coming home from Tulsa, and then a week later everything fell apart.
Yeah, South by was like the first, when they canceled South by, that's when I knew. I remember Pete and I were in the office and we were talking about it. When they canceled South by, I was like, dude, this is like going to get so much worse. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think he was like, I don't know, man. Like, I think maybe they're overreacting a little bit. And then I think he was convinced a couple of days later when the NBA was like, the season is put on pause, or whatever it is. But yeah. South by was, when that happened, I was like, holy shit, they're not messing around with this.
I remember that was what really sealed it for me too. I mean, before that, I was not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the people watching remember this or not, but there was just a ton of misinformation flying around about COVID
Yeah.
like in late February, early March, and I thought it was going to be another N1H1 or swine flu or like the same pandemic fear that you hear in the news every flu season. Um, and not that those aren't dangerous, but it's obviously not the same as what's happening right now.
Right.
And yeah, I remember South by got canceled, or there was a rumor that South by was going to be canceled. And I remember being up at the State Fair Records office, and we were like, there's no way, impossible. That's the most giant festival. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. And then uh, it happened, but there was still this kind of glimmer of hope, like maybe all of the non-South by, like non-official stuff would still happen.
Yeah.
And I remember that lasted till that next Wednesday, and that's when the NBA shut down. And then everything just started falling like dominoes. Like Ottoman Turks actually had a show in Dallas that Friday that we were going to play right before we went to South by, and it was a house show. And we were waiting right up until the last minute. Like all the bands had kind of agreed if one band pulled out, then we would all pull out, and no one wanted to be the band to like pull the trigger first because we still didn't know how serious it was going to be. We thought we'd like power through it, DIY house show. It took a long time to fully like sink in, how impactful this would be. So it's really funny to think like we were debating canceling a house show, where right now there's no way I would go play a house show.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's kind of how it went down for us.
And so you were kind of part of Blake Ward. I was very impressed with how quickly he tried to, he did pivot to streaming,
Right.
or I guess like filming different episodes with Quarren TV. And you were a part of that, and I thought your performance was beautiful.
Thank you.
But I know Blake said that it was his favorite from the Quarren TV series. So, what was that like? And like, how did you reach out to him? Like, hey man, I want to get in on this, or did he go to you? How'd that all happen?
When all this first went down, I remember I tried to pivot really quickly to find like anything I could do that was creative to one, prop up the album, because I had just started my press campaign like 4 days before South by shut down.
Had you considered at all ever pushing the album back, or was that not on the table for you?
Yeah, that was on the table for sure. We ended up pushing it back to July because we thought initially that maybe we'd be over the hump and things would be better by now, and I could get back on the road at least at half capacity or something. Obviously, that's not what happened. But radio and press was kind of already rolling because we had just put out the video for Voices.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, we didn't want to lose momentum. And pushing the album wasn't really an option because 2019 had gone so well for me. I didn't want to lose that momentum from last year. Mm-hmm. But with Blake, I can't remember who reached out to who, but I know I was talking to Kim Finch at Double Wide, and Kim and Blake were working together. And I was looking for any live streaming like possibilities. And he said he was doing a pre-recorded thing, and then I didn't hear from him for a while, and then he hit me up and was like, can you do it this week? And we did it. And I thought it turned out great. The camera crew was awesome, and we were all able to social distance correctly. And I think, Quarren TV had this kind of quirky like 80s 90s vibe going on.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to be the last segment of the last episode because funding it didn't fall through, but funding came to an end because people realized there was no point in advertising, which I know Central Track's probably dealing with right now too. You guys get revenue from advertisements, and if restaurants and bars aren't open, then who's advertising, right? So that was going to come to an end. So I feel like everyone else kind of had a wacky thing going on, and my set was a little more like somber. And I also chose one of the sadder songs on the new album. And so, I don't know. I think that I kind of was set up to have a more emotional video, and maybe that's why it impacted like that way. But um, yeah, I thought that it was really impressive how quickly he pivoted and got all that up and running. And their branding was great,
Yeah.
and the imagery was really awesome. Um, and now that it looks like we're probably going to be shut down for a while longer, I hope that they find funding to do more episodes.
Yeah, me too. But it was cool to see so many, because it had you, the girls from Prism, right? Were in your episode, I think.
Yes, I think so.
And then Rose Garden, I know, did a set in one of the episodes before. Yeah, it was really cool. It was such a. Where did you film that at? Was it Tate Farm? Is that where that was?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, Evan Tate has been supportive of my music for a long time, so it was really cool to be able to film the episode at his new chapel. They moved an old chapel onto their farm, and they're renovating it it's going to be a venue space eventually.
Oh, that's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about then. So quarantine, like you said, kind of threw you off track a little bit, I guess, at least as far as like promoting an album and stuff.
Right.
And you had such a good 2019. I mean, has this been like? Well, I'm sure you're probably excited to put the album out into the world, right?
Right.
But does it feel bittersweet? Because do you feel like a little disappointed that you're not getting to do with it what you probably imagined initially?
Yes and no. Leading up to this week, I probably would have said yes, but this. So like, I kind of had two things weighing on me, like the the pandemic was definitely like a factor, and the fact that I won't be able to tour the record right now is disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But really, just as you know, like in media, there's just like so much content coming out about COVID that it's impossible. It seems impossible to have like anything else written about or talked about or to get any buzz around anything, because everyone's so preoccupied with the pandemic, which makes sense because it's affecting everyone's life and livelihood and health, and it's extremely distracting, of course. So that was really freaking me out. And then also, the dreaded sophomore slump. Like, for most people outside of North Texas, my first record kind of came out of nowhere, and it got a lot of critical praise. And when debut albums do that, typically people are waiting on a second album that's not as good, and so I also had that added pressure. And you already feel isolated when you're making a record because you spend so much time with the record. By the time it's over, you don't really know if it's any good. And then during quarantine, that's even more true. I couldn't get more ears on the record. I couldn't sit in the mixing room with other people. It was just me and John Pedigo pretty much the whole time. And so I was terrified that, it was going to be some shortcoming. And then this week, I put the record out Friday, and Thursday and Friday, there was just a flood of positive press about the record.
Rolling Stone.
Do what?
I said you were in Rolling Stone. That's huge.
I was my first feature in Rolling Stone, yeah. And it just blew up, just hundreds of shares. And like, I had so many phone notifications that I had to re-download my operating system on my phone. Like, from about 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., my phone didn't stop buzzing from notifications like all day. It was absolutely insane. My phone crashed twice. Like, I had record high streaming numbers for myself. Like, I broke my like 1 day streaming record by like 4 times what it was or something. And so just that, and then the outpouring of love from fans and like friends and family, and it felt like for a day COVID wasn't even happening. So and I know I'm seeing that through a very specific filter, because of course I'm seeing every post and article about me because I'm me and I'm seeing them. But I feel like I, kind of got through that noise barrier of COVID, at least for a day or two. So I feel like that was a success on its own. And then, just some of the quotes from the press were incredible, and all these opportunities are flooding in this week. So I feel like, who knows what 2020 would have brought if COVID hadn't happened, but I'm extremely grateful for how well the release went. And like, the album's already like exceeded a lot of my expectations, because I feel like I had tempered them because of everything that was happening. And they've already been exceeded. So, I'm not really bummed out. I think it's just a different year, and then 2021 will be hopefully back to normal. Not whatever the new normal is.
You're next up, I think. It's I wouldn't worry about. I mean, nobody's like getting out there and like getting a chance to, there are a lot of people are releasing albums and can't do anything about it. So take solace in that. I mean, I hate to have the like, if I can't, nobody can approach, but you're like you said, 2019 was already such a big year for you, and to be able to break your streaming record, and you can't even like promote it as much as you would like to. I mean, that's wild.
It is. It's really crazy.
And you did a really cool. You were still able to do like a semi-release party, right, at Good Records kind of thing.
Yeah, man. I racked my brain trying to figure out a way to like safely have an album release where I could actually engage with fans in some way. So I ended up having I think it's the first ever drive-through record release. I Googled it. I couldn't find another one anywhere else. So what we did was we put a pop-up tent outside of Good Records and set up a little drive-through lane. And me and the State Fair Records crew all masked up and sanitized, and we had an assembly line building orders, and people could pre-order or show up, and we did contactless payment. So no cash was taken. Everyone wore masks. We sanitized between every customer. Every piece of merchandise was sanitized. The bags were only touched by one person. Like, we really thought through like everything, so that there was no way that we could like pass anything along to the people who were coming through to buy a record. Not no way, but definitely limited risk as much as humanly possible. And then I would just visit for a minute with the people while they sat in their car, and we would talk, and I'd hand them a record and they go on their way. And there were a few times during the day that we had a line, of people waiting, and it went really well. We sold a bunch of records. Good Records let me put up a billboard, so I have my first billboard ever. It's on Garland Road.
Yeah, I saw that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's dope. That's a really cool idea to like, a cool way to adapt when you're on an album in the middle of all of this. When was the original? You said that July was the pushback date. When were you planning on originally releasing the album?
We were going to put it out in May. I believe it was the 26th, if I remember right, of May. So we only pushed it about, 8 weeks, something like that.
When you first decided to push it, and it, I guess at some point became clear, right, that this wasn't ending anytime soon, did you think maybe I should push it again, or were you like, I'm just going to put it out there?
There was like 2 days where we were like, okay, now everything's really rolling. Do we push it again, or, what do we do? And we decided to just stay the course and see what happens. I mean, and so far I think we made the right choice. Like, um, it's not a normal record release, and I'm not on tour, but I feel like it's going about as well as it could. Like I just found out yesterday that the album, one of the singles and the album, is charting in the top 40 in Americana right now in the
That's
U.S. So
congratulations.
thank you.
Huge.
Yeah, the album's at 32. It jumped up 15 spots in 1 week.
Wow.
And my single went to 31, and it's sitting one spot above Willie Nelson's single right now, which is just like
Surreal.
I'm gonna save that screenshot on my phone forever.
That's crazy. Congrats, man.
Thanks.
Um, so let's talk about the album. The album's called Glad You Made It. And I read the Rolling Stone feature. It was really interesting. But it touches on suicide, I know. And I know that that's something that you and Pete have just briefly talked about before with one of the singles. So, I mean, where does your inspiration come? Is mental health or struggles that you have, is that where a lot of your inspiration comes for your, or at least with this album, writing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I write from a character's perspective a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd say in some way a lot of the characters are dealing with some sort of mental illness. And whether it's addiction or, just lots of stuff. But as far as like suicidal ideation goes, that is something that I've dealt with personally. And chronic depression and anxiety disorder. And, that's something that I've self-diagnosed. I've probably had since late elementary school. And I've just always dealt with it. And it comes and goes. Like anyone who's watching knows, it comes in cycles,
Sure.
And luckily it's something that I started to recognize, and I was able to stop some self-destructive patterns that I became aware of like in my mid-20s. And since doing so, have just had a lot better time like dealing with my anxiety. And anxiety is really what fuels my depression and suicidal ideation and stuff. So just the older I get better at dealing with it, and it's faded over time.
Does the music help?
Do what?
Does the music help with that at all?
For sure. That's how I started writing. I mean, I feel like once I can put it into words and get it out like as a complete song, it's kind of like a thought that I don't have to have swimming around in my brain anymore. So, and that's something I told Pete. Pete actually reached out after I put out Voices, and like checked on me, which I really appreciated. But I told him, I'm like, if I'm already out singing about it, then like I've processed the emotions, and now I'm comfortable sharing them with people, where like if I wasn't sharing them with people, that's when I would really be in danger, and I feel like that's the case for most people who suffer in that way. And so it's from personal experience, and also just having I guess maybe it's the people that I'm drawn to in life, but I've just had a ton of friends deal with suicidal ideation, attempt suicide, and a lot of friends succeed at suicide. And so it's just always kind of been a part of my life. I feel like not, and being in the arts and music and in the service industry, I feel like I have no idea what the data is on this, but I feel like it's way more common than, other walks of life. So I feel like, every couple of months, somebody who loses a fight, So I just felt like it was important for me to be open about it and that I have struggled with it. Um, because I write music because I want to relate to people and I want people to relate to my music. And so I try not to hold back when it comes to personal issues like that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about it. It's so vulnerable and honest, and your voice. You have a very you have a signature voice, and I think it those words hold more weight with your voice. I don't know if that makes sense, but um, that's how I feel. Um,
Thanks.
so, what is your, if you had to choose one favorite song, or if you can't pick favorites, like one song that anybody who's new to you, that you think would best encapsulate who you are as an artist, what's one song on the album that you would choose?
Um, well, the one that's most personal to me on the album is the one we were just talking about. It's called Voices. So I'd say it might not encapsulate me as a musician the best on the record, but as far as me, just like as a person, um, probably Voices.
Okay, cool. Um, so let's talk about Ottoman Turks for a second. Um,
Sure.
you guys played at the Music Honors this year,
Yes.
and I didn't like want to tell a lot of people this, but whatever. We're on live. I think I told you when I saw you at Three Links after, but you guys put on my favorite set that night. It was so much fun.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and that's why I wanted to. I was like, for those who are watching and couldn't make it to our Music Honors, they only got to play 15-minute sets because it's just band after band after artist, and it's quick, turnaround. So I wanted to I wanted to get the full Ottoman Turks experience because I couldn't get enough from the Music Honor. That's why I wanted to go to the show at Three Links. Um, and you guys were even better at Three Links. So tell me, I heard a lot of people talking uh, after the Music Honors. Nobody really knows how to describe Ottoman Turks. So how do you describe the sound?
Well, I think probably 8 or 9 years ago, someone in the band said that we were outlaw country garage punk, and um, that kind of stuck, and that made up genre has followed us around um, for a long time. But I guess it's like I don't know. It's like ZZ Top on meth, but with more cowboy hats. I don't know. It's like I guess Hank Three is like a contemporary artist that we've been compared to. Um, we just have a really eclectic, um, like list of artists that we all enjoy, and none of us enjoy the same styles of music. Will or Billy and Nathan, they agree on some artists. Like they both love Tom Waits. Um, but for the most part, we're all over the place. Our drummer Paul, he's a huge Twee fan and a, like traditional emo, like real Midwest emo.
Yeah.
That's what he listens to, and like I love everything from French house music to you know uh, Merle. So like my taste is really eclectic, and then Nathan loves world music. He listens to like a lot of Bollywood stuff, and he also has a really eclectic kind of singer-songwriter taste, like Fred Eaglesmith and Tom Waits, and then Will or Billy Law. Sorry, I grew up with Billy Law as Will. He loves jazz and a lot of like folky singer songwriter stuff like Tallest Man on Earth. So we're just kind of all over the place. And we started playing together when most of us were like really young musicians, like new to our instruments. And so, like Nathan and Paul and Billy, they all kind of grew together as musicians and created this style. And then I joined in almost 8 years ago. And so I've been with them a long time too, and brought in my own thing. And then it took years for us to actually get good. We played a lot of bad shows before we played good shows. And now it's kind of like, I don't know, controlled chaos in a way. Like you can't really replace any of the members of Ottoman Turks, because we know for this 30 seconds of the song we have to follow Paul, and for this 30 seconds of the song we're going to follow Nathan, and it's so kind of intertwined because of the way that we write and compose together, and like have played together for so long that I don't know. It's like it's like if your favorite high school band never broke up, I guess.
That's a good way to put it. You guys, and that comes through too on the stage. I was talking to Paul about this at Three Links that night. You guys just have fun. That's like, I think probably why I enjoyed your sets so much. They're just fun. Pete has a question, of course. Josh, do you save riffs for Turks ever? I know the other guys do more of the writing, but I'm curious about where you apply your ideas to solo versus Turks.
Yeah, like probably 5 years ago, Nathan was doing probably 50% of the writing, and then Billy and I were splitting, the other half. And then, and I did, I'd write a song and be like, oh, I think this works as a Turks song. But then Turks kept getting heavier and heavier. Like we were more country, 5 or 6 years ago. And now if you come to a show, if you give us a 20-minute set, we're going to put on a rock show, So I've kind of just fallen back into the skill set that I'm comfortable with, like writing the guitar parts and helping Nathan kind of compose the arrangements. So that's where I come in Ottoman Turks, is I help like arrange the songs, or maybe suggest a breakdown here or a double time here, that sort of thing, or moving a verse and a bridge around. It's more like structural and arrangements and like writing riffs, and sometimes I write melodic hooks on the guitar, like in the song Apathy, or but I haven't contributed lyrics in quite a while. My song Burn It, that's on the first album, Wish You Were Here, we actually started playing that as an Ottoman Turk song.
Oh, really?
Pretty soon after doing that, I decided to take it back over to my solo stuff. And then Billy, same thing. Like we had a song called Voicemail that we still get requests for all the time, and on our old EP it was like the most streamed song, and he took that back and put it into his set. The bassist from Ottoman Turks is also the performer Billy Law, and he has his own band, and he's played the Granada on his own as well. So there are three pretty distinct songwriters in Ottoman Turks, but Nathan definitely writes the majority of all the songs.
And Nathan was on, he contributed some to Glad You Made It, right?
Yeah, he played rhythm electric and sang some harmonies.
That's dope. How long have you guys known each other?
I guess I met, this is a funny story. I met Nathan in line at the, what is the name of that band? They put out Hate Me and Foiled, Blue October. We were in line at Virgin Records, back when Virgin Records still existed in Mockingbird Station.
Yeah.
We were, I guess I was 13 and he might have been 12, or I was 14 and he was 13. And we were in line at Virgin Records waiting to see the in-store for Blue October. And it was the day they released Foiled. And Nathan had on his spike belt and Djibouti haircut and nail polish and eyeliner. And I think I had hair down to here and probably wasn't wearing any shoes. And
I knew you guys were scene kids, former scene kids.
Yes.
I
was there with my bandmate, and so was he. I think he was with Paul, maybe. I think Paul might have been there. but we bonded over the fact that we were both in two-piece bands. So he was already playing in a band that I think developed into a band called the Hot Tickets. That was the precursor to Ottoman Turks, and it was just him and a drummer. And I was in a band with just the drummer. And then I also met my ex-bandmate Richie Brown, who was in that band Soviet that got pretty big in Dallas for a while, and he was in a band with just a drummer. And we all met in that line, and we all became friends that day, and we all still play music. It's pretty weird. I haven't thought about that story in the longest time.
That's funny. Cool. Well, we're
Pete's asking about the first band. What was it called?
I think your first.
Soviet was the best band in Dallas for 4 whole months. True. I grew up with the lead singer of that band and played in bands in high school with him. His name is John Spees, and he's actually fronting a band called Troll out in Seattle or Portland now. And they're like blowing up in the underground, like jam noise scene on the West Coast. So go check out Troll.
Troll. No. Okay, well, I don't want to lose any extra opportunity to give you sing something for us. So if you don't mind, do you want to play something?
Sure.
Okay.
How much time's left on this live stream?
We have like 15 minutes. So
I'll do like 2, I guess.
Okay, sure. I'm going to turn my volume down so you don't hear an echo. And then as much as I would love to feel like you're sitting here serenading me, I'm going to put the album up on the screen so people can see it and know what it looks like. And then when you're done, I'll tap back in. Sound good?
Sure. So we'll do a little follow-up after this?
Yeah.
Cool.
A little bit. Try and
All right.
get this right.
I'm going to play a new one off the record called Cupboard. On Glad You Made It. It just came out July 10th on State Fair Records. I cleaned out my cupboard, read the expiration date. It said August 2015. I put it back down in its place. I must have bought these dry goods the week that I got in. They haven't moved an inch, just settled where they sit. I began thinking, I sat down to write the song. That's why I can't do much for too long. I can't do much for too long. Reality's electric, not in matter but in fact. And time is an illusion for knowledge that we lack. What have I been doing? Where's the time gone? I must be a time traveler. I know not much I have done. I began thinking, I sat down to write the song. That's why I can't do much for too long. I can't do much for too long. I began thinking, I sat down to write the song. That's why I can't do much for too long. I can't do much for too long. All right, I'm going to do one more for you. We talked about this song a lot during this interview, so I'd like to finish up with Voices. I stare at my reflection through the bottles behind the bar. I didn't know hate could feel this good behind the wheel of a car. I put this truck in neutral, let it roll into the lake. First I'll finish off this bottle, so when it looks like a mistake. A holy name strengthens the beast. You be lucky if you're in one piece. A holy name strengthens the beast. Oh Lord, please give me peace. I loved you from the get-go. You saved me from a funeral pyre. I told you I loved you. You called me a liar. Yeah, I've carried fire. I've waded through a flood. You dried me on a wire. He bathed me in the blood. A holy name strengthens the beast. Be lucky if you're in one piece. A holy name strengthens the beast. Oh Lord, please give me peace. How long are you gonna make me wait? 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 I put this truck in neutral, let it roll into the lake. First I'll finish off this bottle, so when it looks like a mistake. Thanks.
Your range is insane.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much that was a privilege. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Before I let you go, tell me little bit about where people can hear the album, where they can buy it, if you've got any live streams coming up or any other projects you want to talk about?
Sure. Um, I'm probably going to start a weekly live stream in the next few weeks. I'll be announcing that soon. Since I can't get out on the road, I'm going to try to get some regularity on a Facebook stream. And then I think I'm going to start an Instagram thing in the afternoon on the weekends so that the European audience can watch, or early risers or day drinkers here.
Yeah, they
And
have that.
then
No.
you can follow me on Instagram right here. Just click my name, Joshua Ray Walker. And on Facebook, same thing. Google, pretty much any platform. If you just use my full name, you'll find me for streaming or articles you want to find, or social media or whatever. And if you want to buy physical copies of my record, you can go to your local record store. Good Records and Josie Records and most of the stores in DFW carry the record. And if you want to have it mailed to you, you can go to statefairrecords.com, and they have a full merch store for all of the State Fair Records artists. And I'm going to be announcing more news about my Big and Tall clothing line coming soon as well. I started that a few months ago. It's called High, Wide, and Handsome. You can also follow that on Instagram at High, Wide, and Handsome TX.
That's yeah. I was looking at that stuff the other day when I think you posted about it. That's so cool. Have you always been? Is that something you've always wanted to do?
It's something that I realized I could do, I guess, a few years ago. I've always had kind of a flamboyant style, and it's really, really hard to find anything cool for a guy my size. I wear a 6X shirt, as everyone knows now because Rolling Stone put it in the headline of the article they wrote. And I mean, I'm not I don't care, but that's why the Big and Tall line goes up to a 6X. I get asked by big guys all the time at my shows if I have shirts that fit them, and I've always tried to accommodate like the largest size I could, but most of the time band shirts only go up to a 1 or 2, and I was getting 4X for my fans, and I still couldn't wear those shirts. And so along with Travel by Gravel, the company I partnered with, we sourced some really high quality shirts that are consistent in size and proportions and color and feel, all the way up to a 6XL. So if you get a small or all the way to a 6, you get the same shirt. And there's no penalty for larger sizes. It's one price across the board. No upcharge, which is also pretty normal. So, it's not just plus size. It is the full range of sizes, but it's just meant to better accommodate bigger people. And it's something that I find important. And I also meet a lot of guys on the road who ask, where do you even find a denim jacket that size? Where do you get your hats? Where do you get your boots? Because I wear a size 14 cowboy boots, so I can't go to like a cool vintage store and get boots. And
right.
I wear a size 7 3/4 Stetson, so that's like the top size Stetson has. I'm just a big dude all over. So, ring size, like this is a size 15 ring. So I just have guys ask me that all the time, and then finally I realized like I could just start my own thing. So hopefully, when I have some more time, when I'm not promoting the record, the idea is to do some kind of tips and tricks, to help guys who want to expand their wardrobe do that. And then also provide some clothing items myself. Like the t-shirts are all we have right now, because I think we went from concept to launch in 16 days.
Wow.
On that. And so the idea is by next summer to maybe add some other garments and then just grow from there. And yeah, I'm really excited, and I love the name. That's what kind of spurred me forward. Is my favorite part about the company is the name. That's a nickname that my friend Chad Bennett, he called me that, High, Wide, and Handsome, and I always liked it. So it became the name of the company.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining me on this. I know probably This probably was not like what you had in mind when you were at the beginning of the year. And I remember you telling me that you had the new album coming um, when I saw you at Three Links. So I'm sure this probably wasn't what you had in mind, but I appreciate you joining me in this new crazy world that we're living in.
For
Um,
sure.
and
I appreciate you having me. This is really enjoyable and nice. And do you keep these afterwards? Do they stay up or do they go away?
it'll be up like right after we're done.
Awesome. I'll go read the comments. And
Yeah,
thanks everyone for watching.
yeah. Thank you guys. This will also be up on centraltrack.com tomorrow too. I'm gonna write something about it.
Okay, cool.
And anybody who's watching, I'm sure I will be featuring more of the songs from Glad You Made It on my weekly playlists. You can find those at centraltrack.com. Just search Spicy's Soundtrack, SPICY.
Thanks for putting me and Ottoman Turks on that.
Oh, man, are you kidding me? You don't have to thank me. Thank you. But otherwise, we will talk soon, and thank you again, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye.
So yeah.